Hi, my name's Lizzie Franel. I do safety for VJS Construction. 93 craft workers do not go home to their families a week. It is our goal that all of our contractors, subcontractors, and everybody on our jobs go home safely every night. We do things like pre-task planning, safety audits, toolbox talks, and safety committees to make sure that people go home at the end of the day.
In any project, large or small, pre-task planning is the key to successful results. Preparation for a VJS construction services job begins long before the construction team arrives at the site. Meeting with supervisors and co-workers, along with planning the work schedule, will allow you to envision the project and foresee any areas of safety which need to be addressed in advance of the work. A complete analysis of the needs and scope of the project is prepared, and the appropriate equipment, tools, and supplies are systematically ordered, readied, and sent to the site. A pre-task planning session should begin each workday on a VJS worksite. During these sessions, you will be instructed on job expectations for the day, any foreseen hazards, and other pertinent job site information. Additionally, all VJS employees stretch at 7 a.m. with the superintendent. You are expected to be an active participant during these sessions. At VJS, weekly toolbox meetings are mandatory. The toolbox talks are sent out weekly from the VJS Safety Department. Subcontractors are welcome to use these talks, but are encouraged to develop their own weekly training sessions as well. In addition to the toolbox meetings, weekly safety audits of job sites are mandatory and must be turned in to the VJS superintendent. If you have any questions regarding any safety issues, please address them with your supervisor. Your personal protective equipment, or PPE, is an essential part of your protection while on the job. Overhead exposures are common and expected at any construction site. Therefore, hard hats are mandatory on all construction sites and any other area they are deemed necessary. Safety glasses must be worn on all VJS construction sites 100% of the time. While safety glasses are the minimum in eye protection, some tasks, such as welding, grinding, and cutting, require additional protection. For these tasks, face shields, welding helmets, and goggles should be worn in addition to safety glasses. Appropriate gloves providing hand protection shall be used for tasks where potential personal injury exists. The job site supervisor may require additional hand protection where needed. Hearing protection is required in areas with noise levels at or above 85 decibels over an 8-hour time-weighted average, or TWA. In general, hearing protection should be worn if you need to raise your voice to be heard in conversation on the worksite. Approved, adequate hearing protection will be provided as needed. Supervisors at certain job sites may require additional hearing protection. Steel-toed shoes are not a requirement on VJS job sites unless the customer requires them. However, VJS does require work boots on all sites. Respiratory protection may be necessary for some tasks. The level of respiratory protection is dependent on the task being performed. Prior to use of respiratory protection, you will be trained in choosing and fitting the right mask for the job at hand. Facial hair is not permitted between the mask and the skin, as it prevents a proper fit. Some welding, grinding, and cutting jobs will require respirators and/or dust masks. Remember, a medical evaluation must be completed and approved by the Medical Review Officer, MRO, before you can wear respiratory protection. While working outside, all workers need to be in high visibility clothing. High visibility clothing is not required while working inside an enclosed structure. Falls are the #1 killer in construction. Averages of 150 to 200 construction workers are killed and more than 100,000 are injured per year as a result of falls on the job site. Basic safety precautions must be observed when working on a VJS construction site. When working 6 feet or more above the lower level, fall protection is an absolute necessity. All guardrails must have sturdy uprights, spaced a maximum of 8 feet apart. They must also have a top rail, mid-rail, and toe board. When guardrails are not feasible, body harnesses and lanyards are available for employees on all construction sites. Subcontractors must supply their own body harnesses and lanyards. You will be trained on the proper selection, use, and maintenance of fall protection systems. Working with ladders is a necessary part of the job on most VJS work sites. It is important that you perform a quick inspection before using each ladder. Look over the rungs and side rails. If a problem is found, do not use the ladder and take the ladder out of service so other coworkers are not put in danger. Step ladders must be fully opened and locked with all 4 feet solidly on the floor. With the exception of double entry ladders, the back rungs must never be used for climbing or standing. Refer to the manufacturer's recommendations posted on the side rails of all ladders. For your safety, do not walk a ladder, or stand on the top of a ladder, or on the top step of a stepladder. Extension ladders must be positioned at a 4-to-1 pitch. A ladder placed too steep becomes a hazard. Extension ladders must extend at least 3 feet above the landing surface to allow for handholds when mounting and dismounting. Extension ladders must be secured at the top to prevent slipping, sliding side to side, or tipping backwards. Scaffolds are an essential part of the work platform on any construction site. A competent person must be present during the erection and dismantling of all scaffolding. A scaffolding permit, which must be attached to the scaffold, is required prior to use on all scaffolding. All scaffolds must be fully planked and cleated. All braces, access ladders, proper guardrails, and toe boards must be installed. You will be instructed on the proper construction and use of scaffolds. Inspect the in-use scaffolding for any damage or defect. Notify your supervisor should you see any areas of concern. Aerial lifts are used extensively on our construction sites. Although they are generally safe and have reduced the use of extension ladders and scaffolding, they still pose certain safety issues of which you need to be aware. You must receive proper training on the use of any electric lift prior to utilizing it. When raising a lift, be aware of any overhead obstructions. When maneuvering a lift, your path must be clear of obstacles and debris. Do not drive over items. Get off the lift and move the items to clear the path. On a scissor lift, the rails provide adequate fall protection as long as the chain guard is closed and your feet remain on the platform. When operating a boom lift, a full body harness and lanyard is required for your safety. It is mandatory on all VJS job sites that both ground fault circuit interrupters and assured equipment grounding programs be in place. Lockout/tagout procedures must be followed when electrical or hot work is being performed. No energized accident can happen when the power is not present. The use of lockouts and tags on energized equipment is essential and mandated by OSHA when working remotely from a disconnect device. The electrician or qualified person must assure that the power is off and stays off. Only authorized personnel shall work on live energized equipment and only after written approval from the owner or general contractor. Do not cut wires, open electrical panels, or valves unless you are so directed by an authorized individual. Any piece of equipment or area in need of repair that represents a potential hazard to any employee will be locked and/or tagged to prevent use. If you, through inspection or use, find a tool or area that presents a risk, it is to be locked and tagged out. Proper judgment must be used in the operation and maintenance of power tools. Always take the time to inspect the tools prior to use. Return broken or defective equipment to your supervisor and have it tagged out for service. Tools that have entered the system must be serviced prior to continued use. A hot work permit is required while using anything that has the potential for being a source of ignition to flammable or combustible materials. Welding, cutting, or burning operations must be conducted in a manner to prevent the possibility of a fire. A fire extinguisher and proper PPE shall be utilized during operations. These items will include safety glasses, face shield, welding helmet or goggles, welding cap, appropriate steel or composite-toed safety shoes, and hearing protection. A coworker should stand as a fire watch during these tasks. You may not operate on your own fire watch. Before we discuss hazard communication, we must clearly define hazardous materials. Hazardous materials encompass all products that may be potentially dangerous to your health. Adhesives, cleaners, gasoline, welding fumes, asbestos, and acidic-based products are examples of hazardous materials you may need to utilize or come into contact with during the course of your workday. Some may cause an acute reaction, affecting you immediately. Others will have a chronic result, affecting your health over a period of years. Not all hazards are clearly visible, but will affect you if inhaled, ingested, or come into contact with your skin. You must be aware of your surroundings when working with any flammable products. Most products are required to be clearly labeled, informing you of the contents and any special precautions needed for its use. If the product you need does not provide you with enough information, remember that every product on the job site must have a Safety Data Sheet, or SDS. The SDS will provide extensive information regarding the product ingredients, flash points, necessary personal protective equipment, and medical treatments. Be aware of the SDS on your job site. To make this process even simpler, VJS Construction Services has implemented an 800 number system. 1-800-451-8346. Calling this number will put you in touch with a technical assistant who will be able to secure the information you need. They will then fax or read you the information over the phone with the most up-to-date, accurate information available regarding the material in question. Shortcuts or horseplay on the job site will put you and others in danger and is therefore strictly prohibited. You are responsible for your safety on the job. Stay alert in your surroundings. Any unsafe conditions must be reported immediately to your supervisor. Do not perform any task that could be dangerous to your health without taking the proper precautions. Your supervisor will advise you on the location of emergency contact information. In addition, the nearest hospital and non-life-threatening medical providers will be posted in all VJS office trailers. Also, information pertaining to site-specific emergency procedures such as fires, tornadoes, or bomb threats can be found in the VJS office trailer. If you're not informed, ask to be informed prior to starting work on a job site. Maintaining excellent housekeeping on the job site is essential to reducing trip hazards, fire loading of the building, and maintaining emergency access or egress in and out of the building. Therefore, all contractors and subcontractors will participate in our Nothing Hits the Ground program. This involves being responsible for daily cleanup of all forms, packing material, scrap lumber, scrap metal, boxes, pallets, and any other debris from all areas in and around the project site. Additionally, 100% of cords must be off the ground. To facilitate this, means of collecting scrap material and trash will be provided at all workstations, and daily cleanup of material and debris will be performed by job site workers. Back injuries, including strains and sprains, result from overexertion activities. Lifting and handling materials, equipment, and other objects account for 25% of total worker compensation costs in the construction industry. Therefore, plan ahead to minimize the number of times equipment and materials must be moved or handled. Recognize limitations caused by rough terrain, work area size, and concentration of personnel and equipment. Provide and use mechanical lifting and handling devices to the fullest. Consider forklifts, cranes, hoists, rollers, airflow devices, and dollies. Do not overload lifting or hoisting equipment. Conduct periodic preventive maintenance on material handling equipment to ensure proper operation and functioning. Be familiar with job safety requirements. Get help when handling large, heavy, or bulky objects. Trenching is a common practice on VJS construction projects. It is not permissible to enter a trenching area if you are not familiar with the hazards involved in this type of construction. A competent, trained, and authorized inspector must inspect all trenches before it's declared safe to enter. Talk with your foreman to become familiar with trenching, as it is a major exposure that requires much discernment. A confined space has limited or restricted means of entry and exit. They may include tanks, manholes, sewers, pipelines, culverts, underground utility vaults, tunnels, and pits. As work in a confined space is different from other types of construction site jobs, it is important that you are prepared for and comfortable with this type of work environment. Do not enter any confined workspace without authorization from your supervisor or foreman. First aid kits are located in the job office. Additional first aid kits may also be found in strategic locations throughout the job site. Any accident or injury must be reported to your supervisor immediately. Failure to provide proper and timely notification may result in further injury to others, as well as potential claim denial. Seek the appropriate care for any injury. A small injury can rapidly become a large infection and prevent you from doing your job. Report all injuries to your supervisor, no matter how minor you may think it is. All near-miss events must also be reported to your supervisor, as it may indicate a need for further safety protocol. VJS holds strictly to a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to drug and alcohol use on the job. Any use of these products that will affect your job performance and put you as well as your coworkers at risk will not be tolerated. Drug testing is performed on all VJS employees.
Hi, I'm Craig Jorgensen, President of VJS Construction Services. VJS is very committed to having a safe work site. Our number one priority is to make sure you go home safely and without injury every single day. You are a top resource. Each and every one of you is responsible for having a safe job site. We believe that all accidents can be prevented, and that is part of your job. I urge and expect you to follow the work safely work environment here at VJS. Thank you for what you do. We look forward to having you work for us and with us. And remember, safety first.
VJS safety is number one. They give us all the training we need, and they give us all the proper tools and equipment to make sure we have a safe job site.
When I think about safety and I think about everybody out here has somebody at home that loves them. And going back home to them daily is the most important thing to me.
You are just not a number at VJS, you are a person.
Safety is an attitude. You got to buy into it. Bottom line is your job's not your life. Your life is what you go back to after you leave here. Make sure you do that.